Morning guys, day in the office today. I love office days, so I'm going to go to the gym and then got a pile of work to get through, but I thought actually today I might do a bit of a review. I'm going to review an album, so I was just looking for some new music to listen to in the gym and just generally to pick up on something new, and what I've got here is this, so I've picked up on Imagine Dragons. So this is their third album. I've not really listened to them much before. I have come across them. I've heard them on sort of people like Guy Garvey, real musos, talking about them as a band. So I'm going to have a listen. I'll let you know what I think about it. Hey, you guys interested in a bruising update? Because if you're not, I think you really should be. You know, show me some concern here. Off to the gym.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Okay, so I might have lost the rest of the video files for this day. When you're doing daily vlogs like we are at the moment, you rack up an awful lot of video files, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So somewhere along the way, they've either been deleted for this day, or maybe I just didn't get them off the SD card. I don't know, they're gone, they're just gone. So I've decided to do an impromptu vlog takeover. I'm Josh, and it's my job to be behind the camera at iManage and editing all the videos that we put out for our YouTube channel and also for our online academy, which is an online video-led training resource. So I'm going to take you through what we use in terms of our camera gear and our computer gear and our editing software. Lots of businesses are starting to realise the value of video. We use video in lots of ways. We have an online training resource which is all video led, so we shoot to camera and we put up lessons. We do the same on our YouTube channel. Sometimes we put educational content up, but other times more conversational, more relaxed content like these vlogs, for example. So what kind of gear do you need to create a high quality product that people might want to watch? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to show you some of the things we use, and hopefully you can learn from that and take some of that on board. Okay, so number one on the list is cameras. There are so many options out there for different price points, for different purposes. And so I'm not going to preach about what camera you should buy. What we use here is a Canon 80D. This is our primary camera. Why did we choose this camera? Well, because it does everything we need it to do. It shoots in 1080. There are some cameras that shoot in 4K now, which is a higher quality, but we don't really have any need for that. So this shoots in high quality for us. It has a reversible screen, which is a big bonus of this camera. Why? Well, because when we're shooting talking head content to camera, it's nice to be able to see what you're shooting. If you have a camera that doesn't allow you to do this, you're kind of guessing, or you need somebody else to come and set the camera up for you. So for vlogging and for shooting by yourself, this camera gives you that flexibility. It also has very fast autofocus and very consistent autofocus, which is something we like and adds to the quality of our final product. Another reason why we went for the Canon 80D as our primary camera is that you can use an iPhone app as a remote for the camera. That means I don't have to get up and sit down every time I want to start and stop the camera. I can do it remotely. See? If you want to go for a really professional look, a second camera can be an incredibly useful tool. Our second camera is this Canon 100D. It's a few models down from the 80D, which we use as our main camera, but this shoots in full HD, its autofocus is really strong, and it's a great second camera for us. Now, why go for a second camera? Well, there's lots of reasons. Two of the really important ones for us are that for the viewer, having a second angle is kind of like a palette cleanser when watching a video. If there's just one view the whole time throughout the video, it can get a little bit dull to watch, sometimes a bit tedious. So having a second angle is something that can really freshen up a video. And the second really big plus of having a second camera is that if you're shooting and the person on camera makes a mistake, maybe that's during a lesson or during a kind of scripted piece, a second camera allows you in the edit phase to cut that mistake out by switching the camera angle and getting rid of the section that was a mistake. So your presenter can just start their sentence again in an appropriate place, and as the editor we can cut the section out where they fluffed their words or made a mistake. So a second camera makes that really easy. Otherwise, you're either going to have to cut on the primary camera, and that will be a jolt movement in the presenter, or you're going to have someone who's just flawless in their presentation and doesn't make any mistakes, and that's kind of rare. So a second camera is a really good idea if you have the budget for that. Here's a pro tip. Always carry one of these. This is a GoPro Hero 3. We've had this for a number of years now, and it's such a useful little camera. We use it for a number of things, sometimes for cutaways of computer screens where we're using software, or on a phone if we're showing an app. It's great, it's a great little camera. It's not ideal if it's a primary camera, and I would not suggest buying one of these as a primary camera, mainly because it's got what is called a fisheye lens, which is an extremely wide angle and can just be a bit tiring to watch if that's your primary camera. But as a backup, as a cutaway camera, it's really great. The second most crucial bit of kit you're going to need to create high quality video content is one of these. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a Mac, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a laptop, it could be a desktop, but it just needs to have sufficient processing power to handle large video files and to be able to handle editing projects where you're stacking lots of large files on top of each other and affecting them. Now, for us at iManage, we use Macs. They're very good for creatives. We use these for audio editing and video editing, but that's not to say you couldn't do it on a PC, and ultimately you need to use what you have available to you. In terms of video editing software, if you want to go for something free, there's plenty of good stuff out there. Windows Movie Maker, or on the Macs, iMovie is really good. HitFilm Express is really good. And if you want to go for something a little bit more capable and on the pro end, then you can go for Adobe Premiere Pro, works on Macs and PCs, or Final Cut Pro, which is kind of the upgraded version of iMovie. Okay, so the next area to think about is lighting. This is particularly important if you're shooting in a studio environment inside with a kind of talking head setup. Lighting plays a huge part in the quality of the video. Here's the general rule when lighting. You want a key light and you want a fill light. The key light is the light that's providing most of the illumination on the person in front of the camera, and the fill light takes away the shadow that would be created by the key light if we didn't have that second light filling in the shadows. My key light is here on my left, so you can see how much of a difference that's making, and the fill light is a little bit further away, so it's not so strong. When you buy professional studio lighting, you usually get one of two kinds of umbrella with it. You'll have a big bulb, and then as you can see on my key light on the left here, we have a reflective umbrella that's shooting that light back at me. And then on my right over here, we have this more of a diffuser umbrella. The bulb's behind it, and the light is kind of more general and less targeted. So it can fill something like a green screen really well instead of lighting an individual. Audio quality has a huge part to play in the overall quality of a video. Great audio often goes unnoticed, but terrible audio is a complete turn-off. At iManage, we use these Rode lapel microphones direct into the camera in order to increase the audio quality of our videos. The camera audio is okay, it's what I'm using right now because I'm moving around the room quite a lot, and these leads are not particularly ideal in that kind of scenario. But when we're shooting a talking head, training video, we use these every time, and they really increase the quality of the audio production. Now, if you're shooting locations, you're out and about, you're not in a studio setting, something like a shotgun microphone on top of a camera would be much more appropriate because you don't have to keep tripping over leads and extension cables and things like that. However you choose to tackle it, make sure you're not ignoring the audio side of great video production. The next area to think about is tripods. Now, this can often be an afterthought for people who are putting together their first videography gear, but in reality, a bad tripod makes shooting really difficult and really annoying and uncomfortable, whereas a good tripod can just take away so many of those aches and pains. It gives you smooth panning, it gives you stability, and it's a really crucial part of making good videos. So we use a couple of tripods, but this is our primary tripod. It's by Manfrotto, and on top of our tripod, one reason we like to have a chunky and stable tripod is that we have this auto cue on the top. We use this auto cue here in the studio when we want to get a really slick presentation that's less conversational in style. So we often use that. It's a two-way mirror up here. The camera is mounted behind, and we have an iPad that automatically scrolls as the presenter talks through the script. Now this tripod is large and quite expensive. I would also recommend something like this. This is made by Joby, and it's fantastic because you can wrap this thing around anything. I've wrapped this around banister rails, around fences, on the back of chairs. Fairly inexpensive and incredibly useful for a videographer. These are especially good if you're going to start vlogging, because vlogging is all about having your camera ready wherever you are. That might be in a field somewhere, or that might be in the middle of the city. And this tripod gives you the flexibility to be able to get good stable shots that are not handy-cammed wherever you are. Okay, and last but not least, on my list of essential gear for videographers are these bad boys. These are hard drives. These are 1 terabyte each, and on here are hundreds and hundreds of hours of raw footage and edited sequences. It's so important to have the space to be able to back up all your projects and store your raw footage in case you lose a drive, or in case your computer fails. So these are really important. You'll have noticed that both our primary and secondary cameras are made by Canon. Now, you don't have to buy from Canon, but I would suggest that you buy 2 cameras from the same manufacturer. If you buy from different manufacturers, when you get to the editing stage, you'll find that your raw footage has kind of different colour profiles, and you're going to have to correct that just to make the cameras look the same and then build up from there. If you buy 2 cameras from the same manufacturer, you'll have a closer starting point when you get to the edit. Okay, so that's it. That's my guide to the essential gear you need to start making high quality videos for your organisation. I hope you found that useful and interesting. As an aside from our usual content on this vlog, we'll be back to the normal tomorrow because I haven't lost those files. So come back tomorrow, subscribe to this channel, and check out some more vlogs.